All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful things you can do as a financial modeler, and that's teaching your models to actually think. We're going to transform them from just being static calculators into dynamic, intelligent tools, all by using Excel's logical functions.
So let me ask you this. Are your financial models kind of just static tables full of numbers? Do you find yourself manually going through and checking for things like covenant breaches or flagging problems every single time an input changes?
Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're about to fix that. Today, we are going to teach our models how to think, how to react, and how to make decisions all by themselves.
Okay, our journey starts with the absolute foundation of all conditional logic in Excel, and that is the if function. Seriously, this is the bedrock. Everything else we do is built right on top of this.
You can think of the if function as a simple fork in the road for your data. All it does is ask a basic yes or no question, and then based on the answer, it tells your model which path to take. It's the most fundamental decision-making tool you've got, and it's absolutely critical.
And the best part? The structure is beautifully simple. It just has 3 parts. First, the logical test. That's your question. Then, the value if true. That's what to do if the answer is yes. And finally, the value if false, which is, you guessed it, what to do if the answer is no. So here's a really practical example. We're just asking Excel, hey, if the revenue in cell B5 minus the cost in C5 is a positive number, label this project profitable. If it's not, just label it loss-making. See, it's simple, it's powerful, and it is completely automatic.
So once you've got the if function down, you can start to control even more complex logic. And that's where our 2 gatekeepers come into play, the AND and the OR functions.
The AND function is, well, it's like a high-security checkpoint. To get through, you need to show multiple forms of ID, right? And every single one of them has to be valid. If even one little thing is false, that gate is staying closed. Now, in a real-world scenario like a loan agreement, this is just invaluable. This formula is checking 2 things at once. Is the debt-to-EBITDA ratio below 4.0 times, and is the interest coverage ratio above 2.5? Both of those things have to be true to get that covenants-compliant flag. Otherwise, boom, it's an immediate breach. Now, the OR function, on the other hand, is a lot more relaxed. It's like a multi-access pass. You can get in if you have a VIP ticket, or a staff badge, or a press pass. You don't need all of them. Any single one is enough to open that gate. And this formula shows that flexibility perfectly. The model is asking, is the company in a special economic zone? Or is it a green energy project? Or is it in its first 3 years of operation? If any one of those is true, the tax rate drops to 0. It's just perfect for these kinds of flexible qualifying conditions. So let's just put them side by side to make it super clear. And is your strict all-or-nothing choice. It's ideal for really rigid rules, like loan covenants. Or is your flexible, anyone will do option. Perfect for scenarios where, multiple conditions could lead to the same result. Choosing the right gatekeeper here is absolutely key to getting your logic right. Now for the really fun part, we're going to start combining these functions to handle the kind of complex, multi-layered logic you see all the time in real legal agreements and business rules. This is where it gets powerful. Okay, I know. At first glance, a formula like this can look pretty intimidating. It's nested, right? It's got multiple checks happening all at once. But don't worry, Excel solves it in a very logical, step-by-step way. We're going to break that down right now.
So here's how the computer actually thinks about this. It starts from the inside and works its way out. The very first thing it solves is that inner piece, the OR statement. It asks, does the project have a funded reserve, or is it near the end of its life? From that, it gets a simple true or a false. Then it takes that result and plugs it into the AND statement, checking, is the DSCR above 1.15, and did that OR test come back true? Only if both of those are true does the final IF function trigger the cache sweep. It's just like a set of Russian dolls. You solve it from the inside out.
So we've covered the how, but let's finish up with the how to do it right. These are the best practices that really separate a professional, flexible model from one that's amateur and brittle.
And this brings us to what is probably the single most important rule. Never, ever hard code your numbers directly into a formula. Instead of typing a number like 1 million, link to a dedicated assumption cell. Why? Because this gives you control. It lets you change the threshold in one single place and have the entire model update automatically. Trust me, this is the hallmark of a professional model. Okay, let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways. The if function is your absolute foundation. And and or functions are your gatekeepers. And for strict all-or-nothing rules, and or for more flexible any-one-will-do rules. And by combining them, you can build models that mirror incredibly complex real-world logic. So there you have it. We've actually taught your model how to make decisions. But that brings up a really fascinating new question, doesn't it? A model that can think is great, but can it find the right data to think about in the first place? Well, we'll cover that next time.